Hey everyone, sorry for the problem, but I promise that was not part of the journey from 2 to 3. That's nothing to do with that. It's more or less as painful, but it's not a point. All right, so welcome back. My name is An, and today I want to talk a bit about the path to migrate from Vue 2 to 3, something that we've been talking about, but we need something more practical. So I am a core member of Vue.js team. I was among the first several team members a while ago, 6 years ago. No idea why everyone chose me, but well, because I'm not a JavaScript developer, right? I'm not even a front-end developer. I suck at those technologies. I have no idea why you guys can, and do it, but yeah. Yeah, right now I'm working as a CTO in a tiny startup in Munich, Germany. Yeah, and I love open source. And apart from occasional Vue contributions, I have a couple of other open source libraries and apps as well. So one of them is the thing that I'm talking about today, migrating my app from 2 to 3. And I will have to say sorry in advance because some technical problems, so maybe the experience could not be as smooth. Also, it's a very, very good excuse for all the problems I'm having. Right, so I will show this is the app that we're talking about, right? And so the name is Coel. Some other people call it Cool. I don't know. It is an app I built a while ago to self-host and play the audio files that I legally downloaded from the internet and or legally ripped from the CDs. Right. I'm sure most of us here have done something like that. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about, what can I say? Enjoy your youth, because it will not last forever. Right, okay, I need to do something though. Give me a minute. Right, see that? That's a cat. You just witnessed the most important feature of the app. So anyway, I built this app a while ago, and whenever there's a new Vue versions released, I would just upgrade it, because it's like my test bed, my dog fooding system, one way for me to keep track of all the changes in Vue and in the front-end world, which is, again, crazy. Yeah, so when Vue 1 is replaced by Vue 2, I upgrade my app, and then it's Vue 3, might as well. Right? OK, let me go back to my other. Oh, it's hard. All right. First, to upgrade the app, we need to upgrade the package. Right? I just changed the version of Vue from 2 to 3. I changed a little bit of other packages as well, like Vue Loader, because I use Laravel Mix, because the backend of the app is actually a Laravel application. So, and of course, I want to change the ASYNC plugin, otherwise it would just yell at me with every change I made. Right? And then I execute yarn install, and then my app is upgraded from Vue 2 to 3. That's it. There's nothing else I need to do. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Bye-bye. Except it's not the case, yeah. I'm not even surprised. Yeah, so it doesn't work. Yeah. When I launch my app, it somehow doesn't work. And I found out that, yeah, there's something you need to do even from the first phase, which is mounting the app. Because the mounting API is changed from Vue 2 to Vue 3, right? So in Vue 2, what you need to do is to import the Vue from the Vue namespace, and then you import the app itself from single file component, and then you say, OK, new Vue, put the element, which is the app, and you render it. Now, if you want any directives, you register it this way. OK, everything is OK, but when you think about it, there wasn't any concept of an app in Vue 1, right? Everything is at the root level or the namespace level. So whatever you add here, like directive or the configurations or How come? Like I said, technical problem. Here it is. Thank you. Anyway, so yes, I want to, okay, I need to repeat what I said, right? Okay, now, in Vue 3, though, the API to mount the app is a bit different from this, because in Vue 3, we introduce something called an app instance. And in order to create an app instance, what you need to do is to import the create app function from Vue, and then you call the function on the app single file component. And the difference here, the core difference here is now you have a real instance of the app, and you can apply whatever you want, whatever configuration you want on the app without having to pollute the global namespace, which means that if you have multiple Vue apps in the same page, they are totally isolated from each other, and it's a good thing. Right? So this is what I did, and I think it should work, but it still doesn't. So I don't know what has happening here. What the hell is this? Okay. Right. Next one, the case of event bus. So I'm a bit ashamed to say this, but I use event bus in my app. The reason I have an excuse for that, because when I started the app, Vuex was not a thing. Piña was not a thing. Which was something since yesterday. Yeah, so I need to use the event bus to kind of communicate between the components. For example, when I load the app, right, it will fetch the data, and only after the data is fetched and calculated, it will announce an event called COL ready for all the components like this equalizer to initialize itself. In Vue 2, we use Vue itself, because Vue 2 actually implemented an event bus interface. And yeah, you just import a view from Vue, and then you run the event emitter logic on that. In Vue 3, that's not the case anymore, because we remove it, because it was not even used anywhere else. It was a surprise, actually, to think back that we have event emitter interface implemented in the core. So what do I need to do with this? I have two options. One is to use a recommended library like Tiny Emitter or MIT, or I can just write one for myself. And actually, it's because I have some custom logic in my event bus, I just went ahead and write one myself, and it's not too hard. So the idea here is when you upgrade from 2 to 3, there are cases like this. There are cases when you realize that maybe it's just worth it to rewrite some of the libraries on your own. Not all of them, but for the basic or the smaller things you can handle, you can totally do that. And Vue 3 is super easy for that as well. I cannot even scroll to the next one, but let me try again. Okay. Right. Oh, God. Okay, here. Let's say now I play a song. The man who sold the world. There's no song, okay, whatever. Okay, what I'm trying to say is it's not about the song. It's about how, if you notice, when the app was started, there's no lyrics to the song. So there's no album or artist information to the song. Only after I play the song, this information is fetched from the data and bind into the song object reactively. And the way we did that in Vue 1 is using this, because this is how you make additional properties in the object to be reactive. You call view.set on the object and with the property name and the value. And then after that, when the property is updated, then it will be updated on the let's say on the user interface as well. In Vue 3, we don't need to do that anymore, because we have now something called reactivity supercharged. And The what we need to do now is just like, okay, if an object has been made reactive by something like the reactive method here, then everything follows. You don't need to do anything so special. You just, okay, song point, lyric, something, it will be reactive. The reason for this is because in Vue, I'm sure a lot of people know about this already, but in Vue 3, we replaced the reactivity mechanism detective system, object-defined property with the proxy. And with that, we eliminated all kind of limitations of reactivity, like object-defined, add in more properties, remove properties, or array length, and so on and so forth. Right? So this is a good thing. The next, so moving on, I'm going back to the app now with my very slow mouse for some reason. Where's this? Okay. Right. Okay. Here, if I go to all songs, you'll notice that I can execute a bit of features on the list of songs by right-click and add list of songs to the queue, or the queue, bottom of the queue, or to the favorites, or the playlist here. The thing is, there are two ways, at least two ways I don't remember from my app, that you can execute this task. You can do the same thing from this button as well, right? More or less the same features, just a different UI. One is worse than the other. Okay, so we need to reuse the code here, right? And the way we reuse code in Vue 2 basically is about mixins. And yeah, so mixin is just Vue extend. You put some all kind of instance properties on the instance, and like props or methods, you see the queue songs to the current, queue song to the bottom, and so on and so forth here. And in order to use it, you import it into one of the components. In this case, import into the song context menu, and I just use it directly from the template. Now, all well and good, except when, and especially when our template or our component grows, there's no way, or very hard for us to really reason about where all these methods and properties come from, right? And good luck with debugging. And all the type thingy is crazy as well, because you see that here, in order to use mixin with TypeScript, I needed to use some library here, and even with that, it's annoying. And when you have another mixin with the same name, and you want to use both of them on the same component, well, God be with you. At least, that's annoying. Now in Vue 3, live after the composition API, it's just different, right? Happy life after? Okay. We use composable, and we think we heard about composables a lot of times. So yeah, it's just a set of APIs that greatly ease the pain of using or reusing the code by providing the ability to compose your components using just functions in a stateful way, right? So here, I have something very similar to before, but instead of using the mixin, I just use something called a composable function called useSongMenu. And yeah, it takes a stateful array of objects, and it defines the methods here, and it exposes the methods later when it returns, right? And to use that, now it's very similar to mixin. You import it from the composable using the very slow mouse again, and you will see that the template has no change whatsoever. But now it's very clear where all the stuff come from, right? You see all this, and it comes here. You see the props, and it comes here, and so on and so forth. And this is a good thing. It's a happy life. I'm not sure if it's ever after, but it will stay for a while, which is good. Yep, so, okay. Right, so another feature that behaves differently in Vue 3 is something that I will show right now. Right? So of course, this is an app which has quite a little bit of different features, and there are features that are not used very often. For example, I can create something called a smart playlist, and by smart, I mean it's just a bit less dumb. But something like this, I put a name, I put some rules there, I click the save button. Now, yeah. I'm not sure about the other users of my app, but for me, I use this like twice in my entire life. So it makes no sense if I include it in my original build, my default build. In Vue or in other frameworks, we just load this on demand, right? When you click here and you click new smart playlist, now the component is loaded and executed using something called async loading, async components. In Vue 2, I'm going back to the slides. In Vue 2, async component is actually very easy to be achieved, and I'm sure everyone here is not familiar. It's not a stranger to this. You say, okay, register a component using this import, and then yeah. But in Vue 3, I'm sorry, spoiler. In Vue 3, it's a bit different. Now you see that I need to import something called define async components from Vue, and I need to explicitly call it and pass a function that returns a promise, which in turn resolved into a component. Now you may wonder, like, what the hell, right? Life was easier before. But the reason why I raised this up is because if you notice, the define async component is just a helper function that we expose from Vue, which means if we, for some reason, we don't use this in our application, a bundler that is smart enough would just decide, okay, this is useless, and drop it from the output, and which is really nice to have, right? Because then we don't have that code in our app, and then the size is smaller. So actually, Vue 3 was rewritten from ground up by other people, not me. With the idea of tree shaking, and this process is called tree shaking, of course. With the idea of tree shaking in mind, so a lot of public APIs and internal APIs and features can now be tree shaken if you don't use it in your code. I'm talking about things like next tick or transitions or so on and so forth, I can't remember. So with this, the bundle size of any library or application is much more optimized now, which is good. Okay. Right. Now I want to talk a little bit about something called script setup, which, yeah, everyone talks about anyway. It's as we know, script setup is a compile time syntactic sugar introduced in Vue 3 in the last couple of minor versions, and it's recommended that you use single file component and composition API at the same time. Right, so in order to demonstrate script setup, I will show you something on my app again. Right, in my app, I have something called YouTube integration. Sounds good. It's just, okay, whenever the song is played, it fetches the related videos from YouTube and display in the list here. Okay, and it has a thumbnail, it has a title, description, and when you click on it, it will attempt to play. If we have a better connection, oh, awesome. Okay, so with Vue 2, or with any Vue, actually, each of these is a smaller component, a child component, so to say. And in Vue 2, to write such a child component, this is what I wrote. And if you notice, I'm omitting the template part, right? And so there's no rocket science here. We have the Vue extends again. We have a prop video because we received the video from outside, and then we computed the URL of the video using the video ID, and there's a method called play. All good. Now with script setup, just watch. Right? This is how it looks like with script setup. It's fun. Is that a spelling mistake? Oh, it's not. Okay, so script setup. minimize or clean a lot of boilerplates for us. You will not see, basically what it does is to expose those props computed and all the APIs directly at the, so to say, root level of your script, and make them, all of them, available in the template directly. There's no options to be defined. There's no return as in normal composition API to execute it. It's just like that. And here you will see that all of this will be accessible from your template. Yeah, so you see URL here is from here. It's the video here. It's a prop. The method here is called from here. So it's so amazing because if you notice on the left, the view 2, I have like 24, 23 lines of code for the exact functionality that is only like 10 lines of code, 12 lines of code in script setup, which is the 50% change or reduction, which is awesome. So this is what I've been using nowadays. And I really suggest you guys to use it as well, in case you haven't. Right? Okay. Right. One more thing. Sorry, Steve Jobs. In the album or artist list, I have this tiny little guy here that handle switching the view style, so to say. Right? So it's thumbnails, or it can be a list. Right? And so the way I do this is actually very simple. This actually is a pair of radial buttons, and each of them, like the left one, will contain some value to be list. Thumbnails. The right one contains list. And whenever I click on this, the component will just emit the value of the radial button out to the parent component. In this case, the artist list screen. And the parent component will decide what to do with it using V model. So in Vue 2, looks like this, right? So ignore all those props, data, watch, whatever, right? This is what matters. Whenever you click on the input, you emit the input as a name and the value as the value. And from the other screen, with the component of the parent component, you just use Vue model by it. In Vue 3, this changes a little bit. So in Vue 3, this is how it looks now. You will see that, apart from the new syntax, what we are emitting here is not input, but something called update, and it is followed by something called model value. Even though the component, the usage on the parent component remains exactly the same. And this is fixed. This is literally what you have to write. And now, why, right? What the hell? Actually, there's a reason to that, which to be honest, I didn't notice. But the reason is, if you think about it, we go back to here and think about it, the model value is just another name, right? So which means it's an argument to the V model binding, which means you can change it and or add more arguments. So imagine you have a component called full name, and the component has two text boxes, first name and last name. We can write something like this. When you change the value of the first name text box, you emit the update first name, and vice versa for the second box, the last name. There are actually two V models that you can buy from the parent component. And if you ask me why should I do that, why shouldn't I use just the an object like user and just put into one. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But I guess there are a lot of cases out there which, and as framework developers, we don't assume. We assume for the worst, right? There are people who want to do weird things. Yeah, and this is how components and multiple model bindings are now supported in Vue 3. I want to talk a little bit about testing. Right, because testing is actually, during my 2 weeks of rewriting my app from 2 to 3, testing took like 1.5 weeks, because there's a bit of change there. So for example, the Vue test util is now considered to be low level. Why was it not low level before? I don't know. The level doesn't change, but somehow it's now low level. And now it's only recommended to use if you build advanced components or you test advanced components that require the testing of the Vue specific internals, or you do something that the officially recommended library doesn't support yet, which is a testing library Vue. And this library is now the official recommended testing library for unit testing library for Vue 3, and it's actually built on top of Vue test util, following the philosophy of testing library. Yep, so Vue test is gaining momentum. Everyone's talking about Vue test now. So I would pretend to understand a bit about it by, saying, oh, it's gaining momentum, use it, it's fast. It's supported by, powered by Vite, and support for Vue component is just a matter of installing an extra plugin. Literally, that's what I said, that's what I did. And, yep, because this is just an upgrade of the code layer, there's no changes made to test whatsoever. And, yeah, now, I mentioned the philosophy of the Vue, the testing library before, which is to make the test resemble the way software is used by user. So if you think about that, libraries like runner, like Cypress, has the testing libraries APIs adaptation as well. So you will notice a lot of times that your component test now looks very similar to your E2E test on several cases. Actually, it's a good thing because now you can just decide to keep what you want to keep, right? You can just delete one of them, for example. Now, okay. So the aftermath. I run some clock, line of code, count line of code. And I added around 10,000 lines of code. I removed 12,000, which is a good ratio in my book. Fixed quite a lot of bugs as well, because I somehow made bugs. Who would have thought? So there's some questions I'd like to answer, right? First, does it have to be composition API or script setup? The answer is no, you don't have to. The options API should work, or you can just use plain composition API without syntactic sugar if you're not a fan of that. But with that, I think you will be lacking quite a bit of the developer experience. So yeah, I would recommend if you use Vue 3, just go with this, I don't know, very good features. Second one, I heard this. Actually, I talked to some developers before this, and like, should we upgrade? I cannot answer this question because I don't know your code base or the size of your team and everything. But I think I would refer to what Evan said yesterday. Now we know that composition API, TypeScript, and script setup all are being backported into 2.7. At first, it makes less sense to upgrade, right? Just stay at 2.7 and enjoy all the goodies. But if we think about that, Vue 2 will soon be a thing in the past. Sad thing to say, but yeah. And Vue 3 will be the future. New features will be added, kept adding into Vue 3, but not into Vue 2. So the more you delay upgrading, the more problems you will encounter later. So yeah, to answer this, I would say generally, yeah, you should start considering upgrading from Vue 2 to 3. But in order to make it easier to upgrade, I would say use some package like Vue Compat, or another way to approach this can be to wait for Vue 2.7 to be out, and then you upgrade to 2.7 first, and then from 2.7 to whatever the universe has to okay. For more of changes, remove things, add in things, or the break-in stuff, please refer to these websites. Which, interestingly, we in the doc team we create this content before everything else, but now it's hidden somewhere on the internet and it's harder to be found. So yeah, in case you haven't seen this link before, please go here. It has a lot of extra information that I cannot cover in my talk today. And I think that's it. Now go and support Ukraine.
Thank you so much, An. I think it's safe to say that was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But you did it. Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for the perseverance.
Thank you.
You did it, man.
Yep, thank you. Now I need this and this.
Now you have your aspirin, and then you're going to chill.
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
Don't forget your computer, though.
Oh,